All right, greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. How y'all doing? Um, we're live on Rockfin, YouTube, and on Callin. Hopefully, everything is okay with my sound. I actually disconnected my whole setup and then had to reconnect it, and I don't know if everything is working as it should, but hopefully it is. Hopefully, you can hear me. That's all I'm really concerned about. Can you hear me? Cool. Started off the day with a tip on Rockfin. Thank you, Urban Hermit, for the tip. Appreciate it. Koki Smurf. Sounds crackly? Okay, thank you. All right, well, give me one moment and I'll fix the crackle. Because the crackle is whackle. All right, that was bad. Is it better? Yeah, it's always problematic whenever I start playing with the knobs too much. I did. Wait a minute, that sounded bad. That was bad. I didn't mean to sound like that. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. Thanks. All right, let's talk about some things. Before it gets too late, I am going to have a short supply of time today. We'll see if we make it to an hour. I don't know if we will today. From Peter Dines. Peter Dines. The three biggest industrial centers of the world have seen record drought periods in 2022, with river levels dropping to record lows. If that trend continues, it will spell the end of the global system as we now depend on it. It will end the global system as we know it. The three main centers in major drought were China, Central Europe, and the Western U.S. These are the powerhouses which rely on water for industrial processes. Without water, the industry disappears, and with it, modern civilization. Yeah, I mean that's one way. That's one way collapse can rear its ugly head, and looking like the fangs are out. Right? I mean this isn't modeling. Right? This isn't like that's why people are so off about what's really going on because they keep thinking it's 1998 or 2005, right? When people are like, I don't know, in the near future, things could get pretty bad with climate change. They're still living in that world, and that world is gone. The world we're living in now is look what's happening because of climate change. You can see it with your own eyes if you only pay attention. If you only pay attention. So the lack of water is a serious problem. A serious problem. A serious problem for continuing. With the arrangement we have now on the planet, with civilization as we now know it on the planet. The lack of water is a serious problem. And the problem is the lack of water is showing itself right now. Not in 2050, not in 2080, not in 2100, 2022, right now. Again, so how is this going to look in the next few years? How is this going to unfold? I mean, hopefully we get right. We get replenished. We get some rainfall. We get some snowfall. Hopefully we get, things kind of even out. That would be a better case scenario. And in a worse case scenario, worser, would be that it continues to go on as it is. What if this continues on for the next 3, 4, or 5 years, exactly as it is now? Big problems. Big problems. But what do I know? Climate change is a hoax, made up by the Rockefeller Foundation and the WEF. They made it up. So I don't know what I'm talking about, apparently. So we'll go to this. We're just gonna. Well, I don't know. It seems like what's happening in Ukraine is so real, and it is real. I'm not saying it isn't real. I'm just saying when the president of the Ukraine is posing for a green screen and has a bunch of lights and he's going to be made into a hologram, and then it starts to get a little weird, right? It starts to look like more of a production than I mean, this is so people will really believe it, I guess. Really believe what we're trying to tell you about what's going on there. I don't know if we're going to get any sound on this. Anyway, Zelensky in the trenches with his personal fashion designer, Hollywood. His hologram can be experienced via QR code on any smartphone. What? Seems to be a lot of and he's got a fashion designer. He did a photo shoot for Vogue. That's how you know it's real. That's how you know he's really the embattled leader of the country of Ukraine. When you got to pause to do a photo shoot for Vogue. Anyways, just getting a couple things out of the way. Before we get back to the climate change type things. Oh my God, did you see this? This is actually pretty great. AOC humiliated at a town hall. And I'm really glad that people are able to actually voice with a strong voice their opinion about somebody in a public space. This is someone's right to protest and to voice exactly how they feel about somebody. They're not abusing her. They're not, they're saying you are going, I'm going to give you my opinion. Some people I'm sure are going to turn this into like, oh my God, he was so abusive and that was really mean. And I think that we should always have the ability to voice our opinions strongly about the people in power, whoever they may be, whoever they are. We should have the ability to voice our opinions about how they are, the job they're doing. This is great, though. This is great. This is a great video, and we're going to need sound for this.
Which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because there are a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives. There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that? Yes or no? Okay, simple. Are you going to stop nuclear war? Yes or no? There is no line, because this is bullshit. None of this matters if we're all dead. None of it. You know that. Then let's take it up right now, because this is the only thing that matters. This is the only thing that matters right now. We could be in a nuclear war at any minute, and you continue to fund it. That's what's going on. Why not right now? You're the liar here. Nobody has held you accountable. That's what's happening. And it is time for you to stand up and realize that what you've been saying has been lies. Let your conscience come through for once.
Wow, that was powerful. People letting AOC know, we're on to you. We see you. We see you. Your fake progressivism. We see you. That was really great, and also people see that there's an issue with what we're doing. As regards to NATO and Ukraine. They're afraid. They're rightly afraid that what is happening is escalating into something that we can't turn back from. That it's escalating into something that, could produce a very tragic accident. And I'm loving it. I'm sure there'll be a lot of analysis about this. Oh, well, they're just pumping up Tulsi Gabbard, or look, maybe Tulsi Gabbard will be used as a, they'll point to, oh, Tulsi left the Dems. This is what, that's tantamount to domestic terrorism or something. I don't know. See what she's doing to the minds of the people. I don't, whatever. But I'm just saying. Actually, good on Tulsi. Did we talk about that? I don't think we talked about the announcement that she left the Democratic Party. I was like, good, great. And everybody's like, oh, she's going to the Republicans. I was like, why do you assume that? Why would you just assume? I mean, maybe she'll become a Republican. I kind of doubt it. But maybe she runs as an independent. Maybe she runs for president as an independent. I hope that she does. I really hope that she does. And I hope she's able to withstand the slings and the arrows of like, oh my God, you're going to mess it up for the Democrats. Oh my God, you're going to split the vote. and do better, Democrats, right? If she runs as an independent, I mean, she's got as much support from the right as she does from the left. So if she runs as an independent, who is she splitting the vote from? Who's she splitting the vote from? I wouldn't say it would be all Democrats. I would say it would probably be just as many people on the right that would be taken away from the GOP. But I thought that was cool. I don't know. A lot of people think that Tulsi Gabbard is a bad person or something. And maybe, I don't know. Maybe she's a secret agent. Maybe she's a secret villain. Just waiting to take the, rip the mask out and off in the Scooby-Doo, at the end of the Scooby-Doo episode. Maybe. But I mean, a lot of people like her stances on things, and I don't know if she can do something, if she can do what Bernie didn't do, or she could do what these progressives professed to want to do, which is, actually do something for people. I mean, Godspeed. Anyway, that was cool. All right, we're gonna go back to the professor. Yikes! Surface air temperature over the North Atlantic, North America, and Pacific Ocean for the past 3-month period are off the chart. 0.3 C warmer than the previous record. 0.3 C warmer than the previous record. This is the area that they're measuring. Selected area. Here you go. Many of us are here. Some of y'all are over here. Some of y'all, are any of you over here? I don't know. But that's a lot of hot. Oh, sorry. You couldn't see that. Are any of you over here, was it what I was asking? North Korea, Japan. Do I have any North Korean viewers? Let me know. Knock once for yes, twice for no. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Who sang that song? Anybody sang that? I'll give somebody a gold star if you can tell me who sang that song. Another one from the professor. Another mainstream media outlet gone doomer. Once a tipping point is crossed, positive feedback loops become powerful enough to keep driving change in the tipping element until it reaches a totally new state. This is in Newsweek. Whoa. Heavy stuff for Newsweek. When will the world as we know it end from climate change? It's interesting. That is a pretty bold. Bella. Yes. First one in the YouTube chats to get it right. That's right. Tony Orlando. Osama gets it right in the Rockfin chats. Tony Orlando and Dawn. Why do I know? I think I played that song one time for a weird gig that I did a long time ago. Anyways, let's go back to this. The climate crisis is already here. Extreme weather has become more common across the globe, and estimates suggest that current levels of warming may have already crossed the threshold for irreversible change in several of the Earth's key climate systems. If nothing is done to curb greenhouse gas emissions, temperatures are likely to rise by 2.1 C to 3.5 C compared with pre-industrial levels by the end of the century. Earth has not been this hot for over 3 million years. These temperatures are not unprecedented, but the difference now is the speed at which global temperatures are rising and the role humans have played in this process. Wow. Who's the smart person that wrote this? Pandora Dewan. Somebody is up on their climate science. Normally, Earth's climate systems exist in equilibrium. If we give them a small push, they return to their natural state. However, after a critical threshold is crossed, these changes become irreversible and self-sustaining, with devastating effects on animals and plants. These thresholds are called tipping points. Once a tipping point is crossed, positive feedback loops become powerful enough to keep driving change in the tipping element until it reaches a totally new state. David McKay, a research consultant at Geo-Resilience Analytics and a researcher at the Stockholm Resilience Center, told Newsweek. Oh, do you know many other lakes are drying up too? The Great Salt Lake. The Dead Sea. Lots of bodies of water are going away. For example, once the Greenland ice sheet loses enough height from ice melt, its top sinks into warmer air levels that drive further melting. This would lock in up to 7 meters of long-term sea level rise, with another 3 meters from the similar West Antarctic ice sheet, committing future generations to massively reshaped global coastlines and displaced populations. Once a tipping point has been crossed, the climate system it represents will continue to change, even if global warming stops or even starts to reverse. It can have immediate effects on local environment as well as long-term effects on global ecosystems and natural cycles. In permafrost regions, widespread abrupt thaw would severely disrupt livelihoods and infrastructure in the north and release additional greenhouse gases, gradually amplifying global warming by around 5 to 10% over the coming centuries, he says. McKay and his team have identified 16 climate tipping points around the world, including tropical coral reefs, the Amazon rainforest, and the polar ice sheets. Okay, I'm going to stop reading there. Actually, there's been a rebound in some of the coral reefs, which is good, which is what we want. They're not totally dead yet. Some of the reefs have rebounded dramatically, which is good. Doesn't mean that's it. Climate change is over. It's totally false, because the coral reefs came back. It's over. It's done. No, it means that we're getting a respite. Something from let me take a break here and check my coffees. I'll check up my coffees. Did I get any? What happened here? I don't know. Do they? I guess not. Anyways, I haven't got any coffees yet. I can't tell. I don't think so. Not today. Unless they're messing with me. And haven't gotten any tips in the last half hour on the Rockfin, but we'll come back. All right, let's continue. It's from Poppy Davis. She says, within decades, my ass. There's another kind of doomy article here. Oh, give me one. Let's take this call from Fantomas first. How you doing, Fantomas?
I want to read this real quickly because I think it does show exactly where we are at this moment, Kev. 20 years ago, working as a server, I lived in a corner one-bedroom apartment downtown with amazing water views for $700 a month. A similar apartment now, $3,600 a month, more than 5 times as much. As a lawyer at age 47, I am unable to afford living in the apartment I did at age 27 while waiting tables.
Wow. Yeah.
That,
That is
ladies
incredible.
and gentlemen,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, is exactly where we are at this moment.
Yeah.
That right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's pretty wild. It doesn't make a lot of sense, on a lot of levels. Um, how things have skyrocketed. Obviously wages have not kept up with the cost of things, but also the cost of things I think are sometimes arbitrarily driven up by a lot, different forces. But that is wild, right? You can't afford salary of a lawyer can't get you what the salary of a waiter or waitress got you years ago, right?
Well, it's funny because people think like it's just going to stop there. It goes all across. It's rampant all across in our society because we're not doing anything about it. We're talking about it,
Yeah.
but there needs to be a plan of action, and
Yeah.
that goes back to what the environment. It goes back to It's a chain of so many things that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, people are kind of just sitting around like watching this happen going, oh, that's really so, I mean, not to say that nobody is doing things, something about it. People are trying, but it doesn't seem like those efforts are really making a dent on the progression. Right.
Well, I think the real problem is our culture is teaching us to be this obedient voyeur in
Right.
everything.
Yes.
And, just the way our social media apps are set up, everything.
Yes.
And
right.
we're rewarded for it by virtual gifts or virtual emojis.
Yeah.
It's meaningless.
Right. Yes. Well, then there's another thing too in that there's a strange fetishizing of being able to afford these massively overpriced things, right? Oh, I mean, people complain about it, but some people are like, kind of in a way, it's like a keeping up with the, my apartment is $3,800, but I got that, whatever. It's a weird thing, but people fetishize, being able to afford these massively expensive things instead of just being like, what? This is not even worth this amount of money. Like, not at all. I say that all the time. I mean, occasionally I have to buy things on the internet, and I'm like, it's always I'm not a fan of shopping necessarily or buying things. It's hard. It's like painful for me, but what's even more painful is sometimes I'll be looking at something. I'm like, this thing isn't even worth. Like an example is I was buying a screen protector for my daughter's phone. And everywhere is charging like $40 for this stupid piece of like plasticized glass, right? $40. And it's like, no. And then there's a couple of places that sell the same thing. There's one that sells a 3-pack for $4. I'm like, that's how much they are worth. That's how much they cost. But people are totally willing to go out and spend $40. I was like, no, I'm not going to spend $40 for this thing that costs like 2 cents to make, whatever it costs. I don't know, whatever the production costs. It's very small, right? I mean, it's ridiculous, but people are totally, oh yeah, totally. I'm just going to go out to the store and spend $40 on this thing. Like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Like, don't allow this to keep going. I don't know, whatever. That's just one example, but yeah, like I don't know how long this is going to last until people just go, no, I'm not going to pay these prices. I'm not going to pay for this house anymore. I'm not going to pay for this rent anymore. It's not going to do it.
It definitely needs to happen. And one last thing I'll say is that it's you look at what's on social media, what's happening right now, and the way we're training our children and our children's children are with these fake smiles and how everything is okay.
Right.
and everything's all right. And just look at the screen, and it's really, really fractal, like you couldn't imagine. Black Mirror, all of these anthologies that we lived with, they're all coming to be in as one.
Right.
And I think we need to start taking it seriously, like what we need to do in the future. And that's one of the reasons why I brought that story up, because I mean that's just like a perfect example of the world we're living in right now.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you can do it, I say just don't even, I know there's some things you need to have, right? Of course, but like if you can have a choice about it, like don't do it. Like let these people go out of business. Like I know it's really hard. I know everybody has to like, price themselves to a certain degree or whatever, but it's just like, come on, man. Anyways, I don't know what the answer is, but like there is an economic power, right, in how you spend your money, and it's.
I'm stuck in this economy too. I have a Nintendo Switch. I'll just give you an example of how I'm stuck in this world too. And I will buy video games that I will never play. Now you say, well, why do you do that? Well, obviously, there's a commerce addiction happening all across the board,
sure,
making it so easy to buy something.
Oh yeah, sure.
Now I will catch myself, and I'll say, nah, I'm not going to buy it. But see, the thing is it lingers in your mind, and eventually it's just there waiting for you. That's how the world is operating now. It's just waiting for you. They know you'll come around.
Yeah. No. Oh, totally. I mean, yeah. It's hard to turn that. There is a consumerism button that is in people's brains that they know how to push, right? And like, I mean, I find myself to be. I mean, generally, I try to just avoid buying like things I don't need. But I mean, there are moments where I'm just like, that was like really too easy to get that thing that I thought I needed, and I didn't really need it, like, and so, yeah, it's,
I have another thing, but I'll leave it there. It was great talking to you, Kev.
Yeah.
Later.
Great. All right. When I had I don't know, when sometimes I find that when I don't have financial options, in a way it makes me, so, right, like not having money is frustrating on some, for sure. But to me it's strangely freeing, because I try to like, I don't know, I try to just find ways around having to buy things. And a lot of times, most of the things that I found my way around buying, I never needed those things anyways. And so that taught me a lot, like not having money actually taught me a lot about resiliency, or about resourcefulness, or how to, or taught me a lot about how, you can really get by or do a lot of things without having all these things that you think you need. So there was a lesson in that. Again, it's not fun. There are a lot of times being, not having money is painful. But you really find out like what there's a lot you can live without, and that can be freeing. That can be freeing. All right. Let's keep going. Oh, we were reading this. Sorry, I got lost. Hell on Earth, heat waves to make entire regions uninhabitable. This is from October 11th, 2022. The Red Cross and the United Nations warned on Monday that heat waves will become so extreme in certain regions of the world within decades that human life there will be unsustainable. Okay. As they urged people not here, but there, will be unsustainable as they urged people and governments to do more to beat the heat by preparing better for heat waves like recent ones ranging from Sacramento to Somalia and Sichuan, China. Heat waves are predicted to exceed human physiological and social limits in the Sahel, the Horn of Africa, South and Southwest Asia, with extreme events triggering large-scale suffering and loss of life, the organization said. Heat wave catastrophes this year in countries like Somalia and Pakistan foreshadow a future with deadlier, more frequent, and more intense heat-related humanitarian emergencies, they warned in a joint report. The UN's Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies released a report in advance of next month's UN Climate Change Conference, COP27 Climate Change Summit in Egypt, brought to you by the makers of Coca-Cola. We don't want to dramatize it, but clearly the data shows that it does lead towards a very bleak future. Limits of survival. There are clear limits beyond which people exposed to extreme heat and humidity cannot survive. There are also likely to be levels of extreme heat beyond which societies may find it practically impossible to deliver effective adaptation for all. On current trajectories, heat waves could meet and exceed these physiological and social limits in the coming decades, including in regions such as the Sahel and South and Southwest Asia. It warned that the impacts of this would be large-scale suffering and loss of life, population movements, and further entrenched inequality. The report said extreme heat was a silent killer, claiming thousands of lives each year as the deadliest weather-related hazard, and the dangers were set to grow at an alarming rate. All right. I don't know about decades. Is it decades? Or is that in a decade? What do you guys think? Let's keep going. Shocking 0.2 C ocean heat rise in 1 year. Lockdown drop in shipping. Sulfur emissions drop. Recession up. Coal up. Methane up. All making for a precarious, unpredictable, toxic recipe. This is from Poppy Davis. The whole North Atlantic surface, is currently 1.1 C warmer than the 1970 to 2000 average. 0.2 C warmer than last year, last year was already a record. Oh, seem to be breaking records all the time now. Heat records and such. I wonder what's happening. Another one from Poppy Davis, from Fort Stockton, Texas, where I have found respite on the road a few times while driving around the country back in the day. Fort Stockton is in the middle of West Texas, a very arid place, even a desert. So this really caught my eye as a Texan. Strangeness is a big part of climate change. So there's a freak hailstorm in Fort Stockton, Texas. Seriously damages oh no. No. Well, damaged Fort Stockton High School. I guess that's all I'm going to read of this. Sorry, but I don't want to play with that. A massive hailstorm blew through Fort Stockton Monday night, causing widespread damage across the town. Look at that. Well, you can see that's a pretty crazy amount of hail. Wild weather. Another one from Poppy. Poppy just researched my whole show for me. Thank you, Poppy. This is about Biden. Saying, well, he was like, we're doing great. The economy is awesome. We're fine. Everything is fine. And then he's like, well, maybe we have a little problem. about a recession. Let's look at this. Biden acknowledges a slight recession is possible, even if he doesn't think it'll happen. He told Jake Tapper Tuesday that the prospect of a slight recession is possible, but that he doesn't anticipate it. No. That's fake news. It is possible. Look, it's possible. I don't anticipate it, he says. I don't think we're in a recession. If it is, it will be a very slight one. It'll just be like half an inch recession. Investors, economists, and banks, however, are all warning that the U.S. is likely to enter a recession in the coming months. Stocks dipped on Monday after J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon warned that the U.S. is likely to enter a recession within the next 6 to 9 months. Well, that... Why'd you got to say something, Jamie? They wouldn't have dipped if you wouldn't have opened your big yap. Anyways, I mean, a lot of people are saying the same thing. Last month, 72% of economists polled by the National Association of Business Economics said they expected the next U.S. recession will begin by the middle of next year if it hasn't already started. So either next year or right now. You take your pick. Take your pick. Or already, pretty soon or already. Bank of America said this week that the Federal Reserve's fight to squash inflation by continuing to aggressively raise interest rates will cause the U.S. economy to start losing tens of thousands of jobs a month beginning early next year. All of the world's largest economies are slowing. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said last week, noting the energy crisis in Europe and amid Russia's war in Ukraine, China's real estate collapse, and historically high inflation in the U.S. Well, I don't know. Biden says every 6 months they look down the next 6 months and say what's going to happen. It hadn't happened yet, Biden said, adding that they've been predicting this off and on. All right, well, I don't know. Do y'all feel like it's in a recession? I mean, we're talking definitely inflation is spanking people pretty hard. And if you are invested in stocks or other things, then you're already feeling some pain this year. For sure. Just like anything else, I hope we pull out of it. I hope there is, whatever, maybe a small slowdown, maybe I don't want an implosion. Nobody does. I don't want a major recession, depression, and nobody really wants to feel that or see that. But, there's a lot of people, a lot of bets. There's a lot of money on the table riding on the the likelihood of a recession pretty soon. We'll see, though. If the climate keeps on also whacking away at the infrastructure and or supply chains, then, that won't help. All right, guys, you know what? I'm going to check on the coffees. Oh, now they showed up. No, I didn't receive any coffees yet this show, but thank you all. Fine supporters of the show. No tips on Rockfin. I will see you all tomorrow at noon p.m. Noon p.m. 12 p.m. Noon p.m. is redundant, isn't it? I don't know. 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until next time, peace.